Thank you. All right, let's get our amazing Jimmy V up onto the stage. We have James Vanstone coming up to join us in a few moments. He is a passionate mental wellness coach. He's a powerful hypnotherapist. He's a healer, and more recently, the author of Bedtime Stories for Self-Esteem. If you don't have a copy of it, make sure you connect with him so you can get your copy. Now, James spent 20 years devoted to psychological therapies and then took NHS referrals, helping people with anxiety, panic, and depression. Later, he fell in love with hypnosis and NLP, helping hundreds of people to make positive changes by shifting their mindset. What I love most about James is that he delights in showing others how to feel better, and how you can just see how much he loves it. So Ripple makers, give us a drum roll, give us a hashtag drum roll, give us a James in the comments underneath the Facebook video. Let's welcome James Vanstone to the stage. Here we go. Whoa, rocking all over the world. All right, James, welcome to RippleFEST, my friend.
Hi, Sammy. Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me tonight.
I'm so excited that you are here. We've been wanting to get you onto this stage for a while now, and finally you are here. James, for those people that don't know you, I mean, we only met last year, but your presence is like everywhere. So for those that don't know you and really need to, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and why you do what you do?
Okay, so why I do what I do? Well, Sammy, I mean, 2001 was a pivotal time. 1st of August 2001, had a traumatic accident at work that nearly took my life. I was in construction. I was changing a digger. I was putting air into a big digger tire, and bang, it nearly took half my head off. But you know, the weirdest thing about that was the best headache known to man, because for me it was a pivotal moment. It changed my direction. I was off work on the sick for 12 months, and so then I went back to college, got really interested in psychology, and that's where I studied counseling and psychotherapy, and I got clients. So yeah, and then I'd already been working for Samaritans, a UK charity, from the young age of 21. And I've always just had a real passion for how people tick, what makes people tick, how terribly unhappy people can be unnecessarily, and just how really instinctively I believe that people generally want to be happy. And unfortunately, they get misguided. Their own misguidance, their own guidance system just takes them out of sync. And so yeah, that's where I got into the passion of being in with the therapies.
Amazing. And I mean, because you've got so much experience in it, and James, for those of you that are on the Ripple Makers Mastermind, if you're not on it, get yourself on it. James is there like every morning. You're there, and we've had members that have been going through some tough things, and you're like, hey, listen, just reach out, I can help you with that. And that's what I love about our family that we're growing, is that people from all over the world. We had 3 different parts of Canada on one of the calls last week. You know, people from all over the world, they're just packing each other's parachutes, and you know, things can come up, and a lot of the time it's that which is between our ears that is stopping us from achieving what we want. So James, while we've got you here, while we've got you in the hot seat, I want to talk about fear for a moment, because fear is something that I hear a lot about from my members, and also from other networks. I hear about fear all the time. So I want to know from the expert, you know, you're doing this to support other people through their fears, but has there ever been a time where you have been paralyzed by fear, and like, how did you get through it? What can we learn from your journey of how you overcome fear when it sneaks up for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, as I said, that really bad accident that I had on the 1st of August 2001, that was quite scary, because I actually thought I was going to die. I honestly believed I was going, you know, I'm off, and then I didn't, and so I survived that. And then that kind of toughened me. I mean, I know they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. But it did toughen me up. But I think the one thing to realize is, I mean, we think up to 80,000 thoughts each and every day, up to 80,000 thoughts. Now, 95% of those thoughts are done on autopilot. And so we're running old patterns of fear that have been instilled into us that we can't actually consciously remember. And so, yeah, when it comes to fear and dealing with fear, I think, well, I'm absolutely, completely convinced about this, is that it's so important to learn to meditate. And when I say meditate, it just means as little as 7 minutes a day of getting yourself into quiet contemplation, getting into another state, getting into what we call the alpha state of relaxation, can have miraculous effects on being able to heal us and keep us from habitually falling into patterns of fear. Because like fear really is the enemy. It's the opposite. I honestly think it's the opposite of love. You've got love on one side of the spectrum, fear on the other. Not love and hate, love and fear. Because where there's fear, there will be hate, there will be anger, there'll be all the other things that your ego likes to get hold of and remind you of over and over again, and just get in your way, like sand in the cogs, if you will.
Yeah, well, I know that there's a lot of fear around being visible, so I'd love you to share with us. You know, Gail and I talked a little bit about, you get to the point where you've got the brand, you've got the logo, you've got the website, you've got the message, you've got everything, the product is ready to go, and then you still don't press the button. And visibility, being seen, the fear of being seen, the fear of being judged, the fear of people saying things to you or rejecting you publicly. You know, these are things that I'm hearing all the time. James, what would you advise to our incredible members and followers and friends that are tuning in right now that might be feeling some of that? And because it's holding them back, and if it's holding them back, it's holding back all their clients that could be getting help from them. So what would you suggest?
That's a really good question, Sammy. I mean, what I would say is rehearsal. Your inner state, so the state that you've got going, all the hidden stuff in here, the invisible stuff. We can learn to improve our states internally by getting into really positive states. I mean, I'll give you a simple example. Putting headphones on with your favorite music and really dancing around like a fool in your own living room where nobody else can see you. That will get you into a heightened state. And when you're in that heightened state, then start a bit of rehearsal. So if you're worried about talking on stage, for example, or in front of the camera, rehearse, but have fun with it. Don't see it as like some kind of chore. Instead, turn it around the other way. So everything you do it with love, you do it with appreciation. And so, yeah, I would say rehearsal, and just get into the flow of enjoying it. There's so many different things that we can do to get ourselves into positive states very quickly. And so in answer to your question, about visibility, start liking how you look, start looking in the mirror more, and improve the self-talk that you're giving to yourself frequently. And again, I think it comes back down to that thing that I always say to everybody: enjoy getting into a meditative state of appreciation. Focus on appreciation. Think about the things that you really appreciate and enjoy those feelings. Let them get stronger and stronger. And know that where you're coming from the heart, there's no limits to what you can actually do. Instead of, if you're too much in the head, which a lot of us are, these 80,000 thoughts that all go on in here first, they're just chemicals. That's all they are. And then they convert into feelings. So in order to have more faith, more courage, it's about coming out of the head into the body, working from the heart and enjoying it.
I love that answer. I have a feeling that our amazing Donna Riley is going to enjoy that answer as well. She's going to be like, yes, get into the body.
Yeah, that's it. Get out the head into the body. Yeah.
Get out of the head and into the body. James, like as we come to the end, this is going so fast. As we come to the end, I'd love for you to just share with us what, because I'm really interested, because there are so many healers and therapists and coaches, consultants, trainers. There are so healers, so many people that are building businesses, and especially in times such as this, the world needs us more than ever before to come forward and rise up, go deeper, go higher, as we said at the beginning of this session.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, for those businesses that are just starting out or they've had to evolve as well, what would you say has evolved for you over this last few years? Because I'm sure with you being in the industry as long as you have, what have been some of the biggest changes that you've had to make that you would advise others to make sooner?
I'll be completely honest with you. I've had to sort this blooming big ego of mine out. I had to sort that out. When you're a therapist, it's not ideal. I mean, like, there's always a position: therapist, client, therapist, power, client, no power, needs to gain power. And it's easy when you're a therapist to think that you're sorted, you've got all the answers. What a load of tosh. And so for me, it's about putting all that aside. It's not about that at all. And now, by the way, whenever I do see clients, it's person to person, it's human being to human being, and I learn just as much from them. But yeah, I would say it's about putting that down. And for me, it was about not being afraid to ask for help, not being afraid to contact people that are already doing really well or crushing it, and those that are also not afraid to talk about their failures, and listen to that. Because, as people have said tonight, the failures, that's the strong bits, to be able to fail and keep going. And so, yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's about being humble and not being afraid to be completely humble, and ask others for guidance, ask them about their journeys and learn from them. And that's why I love Ripple Makers. It's just a wonderful movement, and these morning meditations are absolutely fantastic. So thank you, Sammy, very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And because you do a load of meditation, so I was a little bit nervous when you joined Ripple Makers. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing meditation, she's doing it all the time.
Right.
But what I love is that you still show up anyway, even though how to meditate. You show up anyway, and whatever is meant to come through is what comes through to us all each and every morning. And I feel very blessed that you're there. You've got your Ripple Makers hat, you've got your business hat on tonight. James, I'm going to ask you the same question as we wrap up for this evening.
Okay, Sammy,
I'm going to ask all of our Ripple Makers, if you had to do your life all over again. I've asked everybody else about their business, but if you had the chance to live your life all over again, what would you do sooner?
What would I do sooner? I would look to starting a business much sooner, rather than going the academic route and thinking that academic is the answer to all of your prayers, because it's absolutely not. I mean, there's thousands of degrees out there that people are getting into debt over, only to realize that at the end of it, there aren't actually the jobs suited to those degrees. So for me, I just wish I'd have gone into being an entrepreneur from 18 onwards. But hey ho, hindsight's a very wonderful thing, isn't it?
It sure is. James, if there's one thing that you want to leave our audience with this evening, what would it be? What would you say to those up and coming entrepreneurs and those that are maybe going through a little bit of a challenging time right now? What would you say?
Meditate more. Meditate. And don't think of it as some chore or something that's really tricky that only monks can do. Learn to sit down and enjoy your own company and be in your own energy, and draw upon source for the answers. Because when you sit in silence, you'll be surprised just how the answers really come through to you.
Yeah, and RippleFEST wouldn't even be a thing if I hadn't have done that. It was through meditation that RippleFEST came to me, and
wow.
And I've never been that bloody quiet in my life. My husband. I've learned to really embrace the silence and enjoy the silence. Whereas
Yeah.
I was always filling silence before. I had to fill it with being busy. And I recognized that actually, like, my mum and dad cannot sit down. If they are sitting down, then they're doing something at the same time.
Yeah, my mum is just the same. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I recognized in myself that I was doing the same thing. So to sit down and get really quiet, that was totally new to me. It wasn't something I found easy, but I started actually, and maybe you can give a few tips as well to people that are thinking of starting it, or they're like, oh, but it's boring and oh, my head's all over the place. One of the things that someone recommended to me, I think it was Kezia Luckett, she said, Sammy, get yourself a candle, a beautiful scented candle, light the candle, sit with your journal in front of you, get your pen in hand ready, and just look into the flame and watch the flame dancing. Let your head go back blank, just watch the flame. And I tell you what, the amount that flew through me, I didn't even know I was a vessel for the things that came through me. Do you have any other tips just before we wrap up? And those of you that are tuning in, if you've got some meditation tips, get them in the comments as well.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, obviously people are going to be different. I don't know what different people's individual health issues are. So you sometimes have to be careful with blood pressure. The 1 minute breath. So you breathe in, pumping the diaphragm out. You breathe in for 20 seconds. Use your stopwatch. You hold the breath for 20 seconds. This is with your eyes closed. And then you breathe back out through your mouth for 20 seconds. If you can get into that easy, like, you get better at it. What you'll find is most of the time is it's the breathing out for 20 seconds that can seem the most difficult. But the 60-second breath. So it's 20 seconds in through the nose, hold that breath for 20, then breathe back out through the mouth for 20. And that, again, will bring you completely into the present moment. It doesn't always seem easy to start with, but the more that you practice it, you'll find that it brings you completely into the present moment, because you're unable to allow your mind and your thinking to go elsewhere. So that's one. That's
a really good idea. I've heard of, like, breathe in for 4 and out for 4, but 20, I mean, that's something for us to work up to, isn't it? And I guess, you know what, everybody's different, aren't they? If you can only do 4, then do 5 the next time, and then do 7 the next time, and it's just work your way up, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes, that's it, Sammy. Yeah, so I mean, there's different kinds of meditation. There's complete stillness and silence, but then you can incorporate breathing meditations, visualization meditations, appreciation meditations are so powerful, because you can bring feeling, thinking, the visual, sound, kinesthetic. You can bring the whole lot into one, and that can be really powerful as well.
Amazing. Gosh, so many amazing things. James, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love you. I love that you show up.
Love you lots, Sammy. Love you lots. Thank you so much for everything you do as well. Really, I love you to bits. Thank you.
You are so very welcome. James, give it up for James, the amazing James. Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let us know, which form of meditation are you going to give to yourself? I actually really like the idea of James's meditation there for going to sleep. I would imagine that if you're counting for 20, then that's a good way, and breathing out for 20, that'd be a really good way for starting to slow the brain down before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Amazing, James. Thank you. Give it up for James in the comments there.